So I feel like today's video is going to be a bit random because it's going to combine two topics that essentially don't really have much to do with each other. But for the first topic, where I'm going to reflect upon whether or not I miss my old corporate life, I'm essentially sharing my experience with you because maybe you find yourself in a similar situation. And then for the second subject, which is going to talk about my eternal hate towards running, I hope that maybe you actually can give me some piece of advice, because I have to start running again and quite frankly I'm not liking it. I'm having a hard time to adjust. So two different topics. I don't know how I'm going to cut the two of them together, but maybe there's gonna be some magic overlap somehow. If not, it's gonna be completely random and you just have to stick with me. Also, for some reason, I'm quite tired today. I can't really say that my day today has been super productive and stressful because it's my day off. And the only thing productive I've done so far today is to have my breakfast and to go to the hairdresser, which maybe also explains why I have a ponytail, because I'm not so used to it anymore. And since the weather is quite bad today, I made myself a cup of tea, and maybe you want to do the same, and then we're gonna have this cozy get together on this channel. So I was asked the other day whether or not I miss my old life in corporate, and I was thinking about it because my straightforward answer would be no, I don't miss it. The change was for the better. Everything's fantastic now, and there's no feelings of, missing or regret whatsoever. But life is not as straightforward as that oftentimes, and it's the same with trying to answer this type of question. So in case we haven't met yet, I'm going to give a quick introduction to who I am. I'm Cristina. I'm a dentist in Dresden, Germany, and I used to live and work in Finland, used to work in corporate up until I was 27, and then moved back to Germany in order to become a dentist. And that was a decision that wasn't really easy to make for me at that point. And some of the reasons as to why I'm making these types of videos is that back in the days, I would have hoped for somebody who can share glimpses into what it was like to go back to uni at a quote-unquote later age and to sort of start over. And I feel like now it's become quite normalized that people change careers at a later point, and it's not necessarily glorified, but there's a lot more understanding towards the reasons as to why somebody would want to do that. But back in the days, I was the first one in my friend circle or in my friend group who took an active plunge into a completely different direction. It felt quite lonely and quite intimidating not to have anybody tell me that everything's going to be okay, you should do it, things will work out. So I feel like by sharing, I can give some of that back to people who might be struggling. So essentially, when I compare my corporate life to my life in dentistry now, I feel like I'm also comparing my old life to my new life, because my corporate life also meant that I was in my 20s. It meant that I was living abroad as a foreigner in a different country, whereas now as a dentist, I'm in my 30s, I'm back in my home country, and so the two of them are just completely different. And I didn't quit corporate because I absolutely despised it and because I was done with it and because I wanted to escape the rat race, because let's face it, even though I work less now as a dentist, I guess you could still call it a rat race, because I guess that's what people like to call like a stereotypical job. So what I love about my new life as a dentist, or what I love about my job as a dentist, is that I get to work creatively. It's a lot of, nitty-gritty small things. I get to remodel teeth. I get to decide what people are essentially going to look like in the end. Oh my god, it's such a narcissistic thing to say, but you get the idea. Also, the fact that I get to work with people on a one-on-one basis and that I get to inspire and hopefully motivate them is really cool. And essentially, as a dentist, you're able to give back a lot of confidence, or you can restore a lot of confidence in people that used to be embarrassed about the status of their teeth and hence didn't really smile anymore. And that's fantastic, because most of the times I can see immediate results, or I can harvest the fruits of my work, so to say. Yeah, I just love it. I feel that I'm I'm doing something quite meaningful that brings me a lot of joy. My life in corporate, on the other hand, was quite different. It was, as you would guess, a lot of computer-based work. I used to work in the e-commerce team for a Finnish design brand, and as I said in other videos, working for that brand was an entire dream come true for me back in the days, and I mean, it still is. I'm still proud of being able to say that I used to work for that company, and I really like the team that I was working with. I'm friends with my old colleagues to this day, so back in the days it felt really special to be part of a group of experts that readily share their knowledge and their experience, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the projects that we were working with, the product launches. In a way, I feel that my old job was a lot fancier than my current job because we had all these fantastic events that we were invited to, and also our company created a lot of events. And what I also really liked about having worked in corporate is that it was essentially a big organization that operated globally, which meant that we had offices around the world with then also colleagues around the world, and you would interact with them on a regular basis, which was a lot of fun, and sometimes we would even get to see each other and hang out. And sort of being part of a big group also meant a lot of versatility and a lot of movement, and I really liked that. So all in all, I feel like I'm writing an English essay. All in all, bringing everything to conclusion. What is my conclusion? My conclusion is that I don't have any regrets about having left corporate. Do I miss my old life or do I miss my old job? As I said, at times I do. There's definitely aspects about my previous employment that I do miss, but I was able to fulfill my childhood dream to become a dentist by being brave enough to go back to uni. And the sensation you get by achieving something you previously did not think would be possible to achieve is really incredible. If you find yourself in a similar situation where you're thinking about leaving an old job behind and plunging into something new, I think there's something very powerful in proving yourself that you're capable of stuff you wouldn't even think is possible to achieve. And I feel that in the end, more is achievable in our lives than we think it is. I feel like my hand movement is really not adding up with what I'm trying to say, but I hope you get my point. If you happen to find yourself in a bit of a conflict situation where maybe your old life isn't entirely fulfilling yourself anymore and you have a new opportunity, why not go for the new opportunity? I'm in complete Dalai Lama mode today, as you can tell. Okay, let's jump into something entirely different, which is my running journey. I feel like if I was a really professional YouTuber at this point, maybe I'd redo my hair, maybe I'd change my outfit, but to be honest with you, I've already changed my outfit once today because I spilled yogurt on my t-shirt and it's still on my jeans, so while I was able to change my shirt, I didn't feel like changing my jeans, so that's why I'm sort of sitting strategically, so you're not gonna see it. Okay, so my running journey. I hate running. I really, really hate running. I've never been the running type. I can't even really tell you as to why, but so far I've tried several times to overcome the sensation because I would actually really like to be a good runner. And you know, there's all these videos out there, you don't suck at running, just stick to it, it's gonna work out. And I've never gotten to that point. And I tried several times. I even have quite good running shoes. Oh my god, that's a completely different story. Maybe I'll share it with you at some point, or actually I will. So I'm the type of person who can't half-ass things. Like if I decide to do a hobby, I want to do it properly. So of course I need to have good running shoes, right? And I can't just buy XYZ running shoes. I need to go to the store, have my running style analyzed, and then based how idiotically I run, you get presented 3 pairs of different shoes and then you choose one and then that's the end of the story. Guess who the person was that did the testing with me? I'm going to enlighten you. It was a patient of mine that I had during my first year of being an assistant dentist, and I needed to extract 1 or 2 teeth from him. It was such a shit show. Like, I mean, nothing entirely went wrong, but I was still quite inexperienced and it was unexpectedly difficult. And so I remember my boss had to come and help me, and my boss is more of the surgeon type. So we ripped that tooth out and it was not very nice, and I have to say I felt quite bad afterwards. So if I had been that guy, I would have really yanked up the speed on the treadmill just to entertain myself and get a bit of payback. Long story short, running shoes are a-okay, I feel. But yeah, it's just the moment I go, I almost immediately have a bad mood and I don't know what to do. And the thing is, last year I ran my first 5K because I was signed up by my employer because we're doing this 5K challenge together, which I think is actually pretty cool that we do that as a team. Prior to the run, I was actually in really good condition. My boyfriend and I, we had been running quite regularly for a few weeks, but then we both fell sick and then we didn't go for I think 6 weeks or something. Like we completely fell off track even though we were quite good and running didn't bother me as much anymore. AKA my mood was not as bad as it used to be before. So we didn't go anymore, and then what happened is that before the actual run I only went twice, and then on the competition day after kilometer 3 it felt so incredibly bad. It was really warm and my face turned purple and it was just I don't know, I really, like for the last 2 kilometers I really absolutely despised the whole experience. I was just thinking I'm gonna push through somehow, but that's the last time I'm ever gonna go running. And then so what happened is that now when I came back from holiday from New Zealand, there was a list at work which said I'm gonna participate in the running part, yes, no, and I'm gonna participate in the eating out afterwards thing, yes, no. And guess what? For my name, it said yes and yes. And I said, interesting, who put yes and yes in there for my name? And then my colleague, she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, but our boss forced me to sign you up. So I went the other day for the first time in almost a year, and I was actually quite surprised that it went quite well. I mean, I only went for 3K, which apparently is my comfort zone. So yeah, I'm gonna go again today with my colleague. We'll just see how it goes. Hope for the best. Okay, so quite a random video probably, but I hope you got something out of it. I hope to see you in my next video. Please let me know in the comments what you would recommend in terms of, you know, getting into a crazy running routine. And I hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!